classroom. Learners, today we are doing a poem from your English language textbook, the first flight, first lesson, A Tiger in the Zoo. Learners, with me is Kriti. We will enjoy, appreciate the poem. It is slightly serious, slightly funny, and it also has some direct connection implications with us as humans who long for freedom always. So, Kriti,
Yes.
Let me ask you something. How does it feel if you find a tiger just roaming around in your neighborhood?
So I would be really scared and
Oh.
I would be frightened what a tiger could do to us
Okay,
humans.
okay. Have you seen a tiger at all?
In reality, I have seen it in a zoo.
No.
Yes.
But what do you feel when you see a tiger in a cage?
I feel that something which is very powerful has been caged. Although I still feel frightened, what all he can do, even being inside the cage.
Okay. This animal, tiger or any animal, wild animal, they are supposed to be in the wild,
In the wild,
in the but we have confined them.
Yes.
So, learners, let us see a poem which gives the dual life of a tiger which is now in cage, and the tiger now thinks of, or the point for the tiger thinks of, oh, how he would be if he is in the wild.
Okay.
Come on. Before we get into the poem, let us introduce the objectives of this lesson for you. Come on, Kriti, read out the objectives
Sure, sir.
to our learners.
At the end of this lesson, learners will be able to read the poem A Tiger in the Zoo with understanding and appreciate the idea of the poem. Understand imagery, symbol, simile, rhyme scheme, etc. Interpret the ideas and language of the poem to connect with real life experience. Move beyond the poem to extrapolate ideas with the contemporary world.
Fine, learners. Kriti, thank you. We have set 4 objectives to which we will realize through this poem. Okay?
Yes, sir.
We have seen, we are saying that tiger in the zoo. So, let us look at what the poet says about the tiger in the zoo or in the wild, that is jungles. Okay. I am going to read the poem out to you, just listen to it, need not bother about the meaning of individual words, just listen to it.
Okay.
Okay. He stalks in his vivid stripes, a few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plum deer pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. He hears the lost voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Leslie Norris. Kriti,
Yes, sir.
what do you get out of this reading?
So I assume that the poet is making a kind of a comparison between how a tiger behaves or lives in a zoo and how he lives or behaves in the wild, in the forest, in the jungle.
Fine. All right. Kriti, learners, I will read out stanza after stanza explaining whether the tiger is in the zoo or in the jungle. What you will have to do is, in the left side you write what does it do in the zoo,
Okay,
and
sir.
what it should be doing in the jungle.
Okay,
Come on. The first stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes, a few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. What does he do? Where is he now?
He's in the zoo.
Okay, what does he do?
He is in the cage.
Fine. Then
Also, the grass is not real there. So they are saying on pads of velvet quiet.
okay, velvet quiet. But before that, what does he do? The
He's taking few steps in his cage.
What does the word the poet use?
The few steps of his cage, he stalks in his vivid stripes.
Okay, stalks, walks, then few steps. Yeah, please write few steps.
Okay.
Then stalks.
Yes.
Then velvet quiet.
Yes.
Then what about the last line? In his quiet.
Quiet rage. Yes.
So is he rage? Is he in rage or quiet?
This denotes to a certain literary device where although he has a lot of rage in him, but still he is quiet.
Okay. So let us write the phrase quiet rage.
Okay.
Okay. Now let me read out this second stanza. You will have to say where does the tiger now live, stay, and what does he do?
Okay. Sir.
He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plum deer pass.
The tiger is in the wild now.
Okay. So in jungles.
In jungles.
Right, right. Please write.
So he is in the forest or wild or jungle.
What does it do? Sliding through long grass.
Yes.
So walking through the.
Walking through the long grass.
Then
the forest.
And hiding to watch whom?
The deer.
Yes.
Will be the prey.
Okay. Waiting for the
tiger.
Waiting for the
waiting to attack the prey.
Okay, fine. Now the third stanza, learners, find out where he is now, then what he does. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Come on, now what does he do?
He is again in the
jungle, wild, yeah.
And now he is, maybe there is a little village near the jungle, the wild. So he is snarling around the houses.
Okay.
We can say.
Moving around the houses.
Around the houses.
And what does he do to the villagers?
He is trying to scare them by his long white teeth.
The word is terrorizing.
Terrorizing the village.
Fine.
Yes.
Okay. Learners, good, well done, learners. Thank you. Now, look at the third or fourth stanza. Yeah. He is locked in the concrete cell. His strength began bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. So, what does he do here?
He is in the zoo, definitely. He is locked in a concrete cell.
Concrete cell everywhere.
Yes. Then he is behind the bars.
Fine.
Of his cage. And then he is stalking the length of his cage because there is not a lot of space to move around in the cage. So he's just stalking in his cage. And then lastly, he's ignoring.
He doesn't want to see humans.
Yes.
Okay, come on. The last stanza, he hears the lost voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars.
Yes, sir.
Where is he now?
He is in the wild now.
Fine.
He can hear the last voice as the poet has written in the poem. The patrolling cars. He might be in the wild where a lot of patrolling cars come to see that everything is in place.
He's a forest people.
Forest people are safe. And lastly, before sleeping, he's looking at the stars with his brilliant eyes.
Oh, so that means he is in the open.
In the open. He's entirely in the jungle.
Fine. All right, learners. This is what the poet is describing in some stanzas. The tiger is in the zoo. Concretized walls.
Yes.
Caged, and in the other one, he is in the wild.
Yes.
So, learners, do you ever feel that you are caged?
Given recent times, the COVID coronavirus scenario, there was a lockdown which was put.
We are caged.
So we were in a position that where we felt that we were caged.
Fine. Learners, this is what's happening. An animal which is supposed to be in the wild,
Yes.
free, is caged. And but he is thinking of what he should be doing if he were in the wild. Now, I am going to ask you two questions. You will have to give as many points as possible. What does the tiger do in the zoo now?
He stalks in his vivid stripes. He's in his quiet rage.
Okay.
Then he's locked in a concrete cell.
Okay.
His strength are somewhat behind bars.
Okay.
And he's stalking the length of his cage.
It's not very long,
Yeah.
but still he is trying to
Yes.
do his safari, like
Yes.
the majestic walk.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's ignoring the visitors who has come to see the tiger.
So he doesn't want to see humans.
Yes.
Okay, that's what. And what does he do if he were in the wild? I'm using appropriately if he were in the wild. He is not.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
The jungles. Okay. What does he do? Let me change it, reframe it. What would he do if he were in the jungles?
As compared to what he was doing in the cage, he would be freely roaming around in the wild.
Fine.
And he would, as in the poem says, that he would be sliding through the long grasses to catch the prey, a plump deer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he would also be looking at the stars at night with his brilliant eyes.
Okay. Free. Completely free.
Completely.
Okay. Come on. Let me ask learners and as well as you. As children, we are made to sit in the classroom. Of course, this pandemic time, there is a problem. There are no schools, but we are also confined at home. Then, if someone puts so much control on you, how would you feel? So, your freedom is lost. Imagine an animal which is supposed to be in the jungles only is caged.
Yes.
Now, this takes us to the question whether we should have zoos or not. That we will come to discuss later. So, there are two things. Now, learners, look at the poem again as it appears. Kriti is going to supply the rhyme scheme. Tell us the rhyme scheme by supplying. What is the device to you understand the rhyme scheme of the poem?
We usually use A, B,
A, B.
C.
And A, B for the last word of each line.
Each line. Last
The
word of
sound
each
of the
line.
last
Yes.
word of each line.
Yes.
So, I am going to read out to you the first stanza, then you supply the rhyme scheme, then the rest you will be doing it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Let me read out the first stanza, then you will be doing it. Okay. Here it is, the first stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes, a few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage.
So,
Okay.
sir, as we see, the sound stripes can be denoted with A.
Okay.
The sound of cage can be denoted B. Quiet can be denoted as C. And then we see that the sound of rage is somewhat repeating, and it's rhyming with the word cage, which we denoted as B.
It rhymes with the word cage.
Cage.
So, you are going
We
to.
will denote the word rage as B. So, this
Okay.
would be A, B, C, B.
Okay. A, B, C, B.
Yes.
Okay. Look at the last words of the first stanza, learners. Stripes, cage, quiet, rage. Stripe A, cage B, quiet C, and rage B again. So,
Yes.
this is how rhyme scheme of the poem is identified. Now, you will have to supply rhyme scheme to other stanzas. Come on, do it.
Sure, sir. So, in the next stanza, we see shadow is a new word. So, we will again denote A. Then grass, B. Water hole, C. Deer pass, B again.
Pass is rhyming with
Rhyming with grass.
Okay.
So,
Next.
A, B, C, B again.
Okay. Same way.
In the third stanza, around houses, A. Edge, B. Clause, C. Village. Now we see that village is rhyming again with edge. So it would be
B.
B again. So
Okay.
the rhyming scheme would be A, B, C, B.
Also, the same way the entire poem is A, B, C, B.
CB.
Learners, the rest of the stanza you do it on your own, and we need to understand rhyme scheme of your poem.
Yes.
Because the poet, when you read, you can read with some melody, some music, which is there all over the world. Are zoos necessary in today's world? I am asking you with one understanding. Now, lot of things are shot in the wild, and we can watch it on television, news items, channels, many things and videos. And why should we need a zoo? But there are zoos everywhere. If you will find any city all over the world, there is a zoo, and wild animals are
Kept there.
yeah, fine. So, do you feel that zoos are necessary?
So I don't think so they are necessary, because the amount of television we are seeing, and everything is telecasted on television these days, like a safari or animals are shown. But to some extent we can also say that they are necessary.
Why?
Because
Why?
it becomes a place where endangered species are kept,
Great.
and to keep them protected.
Okay. Endangered species can be kept in the zoo and protected. Learners, before we close, Kriti is going to tell us how to read a poem. When you read a story or novel or a newspaper item, news item, we read for mere information or enjoyment, of course, the short stories, but we should read poetry differently. Here it is, Kriti, come on.
Sure, sir. All poetry requires patience. Be patient with the text, read carefully for nuance and inference. Know what the words mean. Look up words that are unfamiliar, look up words that are familiar but you cannot specify. Pay attention to words or phrases that resonate with other things you know, and try to identify the connection. Be patient and read slowly, and you will be amply rewarded.
Fine. Okay, there are some unfamiliar words, there are some familiar words. Connect with them and understand the poem.